Okay, so we're looking at point slope form. Sometimes it's slope point form. It doesn't matter which word comes first. And then converting that to slope y-intercept form. If you know what the y-intercept is right away, that's the easiest form, right? If you know what the y-intercept is, then you can find it. But take a look at these two lines. I don't even know what the y-intercept is there, right? It is somewhere down below the grid, okay? Here, I don't know what it is either. I'd have to estimate it. Okay, so that's why we were using the form. Notice here that I've identified 2 points. You choose one of them. Okay, so I'm going to choose this one, 5, 1. And I'm going to put it in that slope, point slope form where it's y minus the y value of your point equals the slope times x minus the x value of that point. Now I need to calculate the slope. I don't have to use a formula. I just need to take 2 points, and as I said, 2 are identified. Draw a right triangle. And so what is my rise? 1, 2, 3, 4. And my run is 2. So my slope is 4 over 2, which simplifies to 2. So that's what goes into my equation, okay? So that's your slope point form. Now to get it in y-intercept form, get rid of the brackets and solve for y. So y minus 1 equals 2x minus 10. And then add 1 to both sides. So when you add 1 to both sides, you get 2x minus 9. So 2 forms. Okay. Your calculator, if you were to graph this in a graphing calculator, will only be able to graph the y equals form of it. That button, no matter which form, Casio or TI, has a y equals button. It doesn't have a y minus 1 or an x equals button. So you need to solve for y if you're going to graph it in your calculator. It doesn't have to be simplified. You could have brackets, that kind of thing, but it has to be y equals. Okay, so those are the 2 forms of that one. Then for the next, again, I can't tell what the y-intercept is, but I have 2 other points, okay? Two other points, so I'm going to use those to come up with my slope. You can find 2 other points, but why bother if it's already been identified for you? I'm going down 6 to the right 10. So my slope is negative 6 over 10, and you can reduce that to negative 3 over 5. So now choose a point. Doesn't matter which one. I'm going to choose 4, negative 5. You could choose the other one. Remember, we did it using both of them, or 2 different ones, and we simplified and we came up with the same equation. Doesn't matter which. Now y minus negative 5 equals the slope, bracket x minus 4. Now if you can do the minus negative 5 in your head, do it. Otherwise, take another step to simplify that. So that's the slope point form. Now, expand the brackets. So you'll have fractions, and then solve for y. I'm just going to do it over here. So y plus 5 equals negative 3/5 x plus, right, because I have to multiply this slope by both terms in that bracket. So that's going to be negative 3/5 x plus 12/5. Subtract 5 from both sides. Okay, so we need a common denominator. So 12/5, you can do it on the side if you want. 12/5 minus 5 with a denominator of 5 is 25/5. Okay, or you can do it in your calculator and use MathFrac if you are not a fan of fractions or working hard. Okay, let's take a look. So the y-intercept on this one, we could see it, we just had to estimate it. So negative 13/5 is negative 2.6. Take a look at it. It does look like negative 2.6 approximately. It was just too hard to tell if it was 2.6 or negative 2.7, but it does make sense. Okay. Right, so turn over the page to the next. A couple more on the next side. Oops. Okay. So the next one doesn't have a graph, but it's very similar to the ones we just did. You have 2 points, okay? We don't know what the y-intercept is. So find the slope and choose one of the points. It doesn't matter which one, and put it in that slope point form. So remember, I'll just write it up here just to remind you. That's your slope point form. Calculate the slope. So I'll put that formula up here. Okay, so the slope is 2 minus negative 1 over negative 7 minus 5. Well, what's that? 2 minus negative 1 is 3. Negative 7 minus 5 is negative 12. And reduce that. Always show the negative out front or up top. Don't leave it in the denominator. So negative 1/4. So now our equation will be y minus, and you decide which point you're going to choose. I'm going to choose that one. So y minus negative 1 is the same as y plus 1 equals the slope bracket x minus x1. And you're done. You don't have to solve for y because it says slope point form. That's all you have to do. Okay? Doing it?
Yep.
No, are you doing it? Yeah. Okay. Next thing is the slope of the next one. Okay. So slope is negative 27 minus negative 3 over 9 minus negative 7. So when you're subtracting a negative, it's like adding. So that's negative 24 over 16, which reduces to what? 8 goes into that negative 3 times over 2. And again, leave the negative out front or up top. Choose whichever point you want. Doesn't matter which one. So maybe I'll choose the second one this time. And so this will be y plus 27 equals negative 3 over 2 bracket x minus 9. No other work. You're just substituting in. Okay, so next one, write the equation of the line using slope point form of the following. So again, we don't have to put it in slope-intercept form. We're going to learn about general form today, but we just know those two forms right now. Says the equation of the line that is parallel to this line and same x-intercept as this line. Okay, x-intercept. So don't be fooled. This is it in slope y-intercept form, not x-intercept form. So you might have to do a little bit of work. What do we know about the slopes of parallel lines? They're the same. It's the easiest one. They're equal. So the slope of the line we want is just 1/2, right? It's whatever that slope is there. But we need the x-intercept of this line. Okay, so x-intercept, so remember the graph. If you have a graph and you have a line like this is the x-intercept. What's the value of y at the x-intercept? 0. 0. So to get the x-intercept here, we're going to put 0 in for y and solve for x. If we had a graph, we could just look for it, right? If it was an integer value, we wouldn't have to do the substitution. But now we need to solve this. So we're going to add 12 to both sides. So it's just a solving equation back from junior high. Oops, want blue there. Okay. So you can think about that as multiplying. You could go 12 over 1 and do a cross product property where that would be 3x. Oops, sorry, I meant to do an eraser there. You could put the x up top here. So it's very similar to questions that we've done recently. And so that would be 1 times 3x is 3x. 12 times 2 is 24. So x equals 8. Okay. Or you could take 12 and divide by 3 over 2, which gives you 8 anyway. You can always check. If you put 8 back in for x, then is 3 times 8 divided by 2 12? Sure is. 24 divided by 2 is 12, minus 12 is 0. So you can always check that. So now the coordinates of, the coordinates of the x-intercept are 8, 0, right? 8 for x, 0 for y. So now put that into slope point form. I'm just going to erase this graph here because there we go. Okay, so then our equation is y minus 0 equals 1/2 bracket x minus 8. Now, 1 minus 0, sorry, not 1 minus 0, y minus 0 is just y. So you didn't actually have to do that. You can just go y equals 1/2 bracket x minus 8. Okay. But that's considered slope point form because it's got brackets. You don't have to expand it out. I didn't ask for it in slope y-intercept form. Seth. It is useful when you can't see what the y-intercept is exactly. So here, I didn't know what the y-intercept is. So it's actually a little bit easier because I can put it into a formula right away.
What if you do have a y-intercept? Can you still use slope point form to get the...
It's not as fast. If you know the y-intercept and the slope, it's really fast to just substitute them in.
Yeah.
So when you add a slope, you just automatically put the x value and fraction.
Yep. just like x over 1. So 3x over 2. It's the same as 3 over 2x. Okay, and last one there, it says the equation we want to find is perpendicular to this line and passes through this point. Okay, so the slope of this line given is -4. Hands up, who can give me the perpendicular slope to -4? Okay, said hands up. Okay, okay.
1 point.
Right, with the help of Seth behind me. Hands up, Seth, right? Okay, so 1+1/4. So now we don't really have to do anything else except substitute in our point and our slope. Okay, so that is the end of sort of doing a lot of work with slope point form. We'll still do it over the next couple of lessons, but more working from that form and expressing it in general form.